This is a tour of our solar fence charging system. Using a plug-in AC charger is nice unless you lose power. Using a DC system, we're kind of self-generating, so we aren't relying on the utility being uninterrupted, and we're also not counting on having access to power at the site of the charger. So we have two 100-watt panels. One of them is probably truly 100 watts. The other one got damaged and is broken. If you look real close, the glass cover is all messed up. I'm sure it's affecting its efficiency. For a while we ran it as it was, and it was not really keeping up with the 3-joule charger. So we threw that other 100-watt panel on there. The wires come from the panel into the inside here, and it's kind of hard to see, but basically there's a little hatch that we built inside the house. The solar charger is there. It's the Renogy Rover, which is an MPPT. There's inside this box right here is a 100 amp hour battery. It's a sealed lead acid battery. Chickens like this place. We have the output from the load side of the solar charger connected to this switch, so that if we need to turn off the fence, we can. We have a few more switches than we really need because this has kind of been adapted. If I was building it new, I probably wouldn't bother with this switch. Then we go to a female 12-volt SAE jack, which is right here. The idea being that we can easily switch between chargers. I had not intended to make that a feature, but our Cyclops let us down, unfortunately. One of the circuits quit working on it, and we had to kind of revert back to the Patriot. And I mean, anything can break, and with the consequences being what they are of not having a fence charger, really like the idea of having an easy option to swap between the two. You know, we could easily unscrew these terminals, transfer our leads over, or just kind of revert back to the Patriot's existing alligator clamp. We're going a little high tech, and so coming off of our 12-volt female jack here is this little box. And inside this box is a little circuit board which connects via Wi-Fi, and then we can go into like Google Home or an app like that to control the fence charger from the phone. I know that sounds a little hoity-toity, but it can be really convenient when you're down at the other end of this 750-foot long fence. I guess it's about 500 feet from here. Anyway, it's a long way, and if you're down there trying to do something and you want to shut off the power, be able to whip out the phone and do it remotely sure can save some effort. And if an animal's caught in the fence, time might be of the essence. The way I have this wired up, because I don't trust the little $5 circuit board, I have a switch. In the center position, this box is off. In the Wi-Fi position, the Wi-Fi portion works. When it's in Wi-Fi mode, we can control it via the Wi-Fi controller, or we can just push this little button right here, and by pushing that little red push button, it'll cycle between on and off. If we just want to give up on that but still leave the box connected, we can flip this switch up to on, and it'll just bypass the Wi-Fi circuitry altogether. It actually depowers the Wi-Fi circuitry. And so, yeah, I use scrap parts for this, so this is like a fancy switch out of something else that was going in the trash, and you could do this a lot easier if you were needing to buy parts. If all else fails, this box is just, it has a female SAE jack on this side. So we could just plug the Cyclops in directly right here, which is tied to the output of the solar charger. From there, we're running our insulated 12-gauge solid wires, which may not be ideal, but they're working for now. We have the hot on everything except for the second to last wire, which is the ground. The advantage of running a ground for the entire length of the system is, of course, we get a full complete circuit for any animal that touches the bottom two leads. But also our grounding system, which runs from that green striped pole down there past here and all the way down about halfway between here and the guineas. We have 50 feet of 4 different ground rods all connected. And so by having a ground wire in the fence, we can actually connect to the fence anywhere with a charger, anywhere along its length, and still utilize our entire grounding system. When we were running this house out in the field with rotating pastures before, we had some pieces of conduit down on the bottom, like little sled runners, and that was the extent of our ground. But I don't really think we were getting the full energy of our 3-joule charger because of the inadequate ground. The Cyclops is, of course, rated at 12. They say they rate them pretty conservatively, so it's maybe more than that. But at any rate, it really bites as it is, which is good. So pretty happy with this so far. Still allows us the flexibility to move this house around. It happens to be a house, and we have made it available to the animals before. One thing we are aware of is that if this were going to be regularly available to the livestock other than poultry, we would want to make sure that these wires are better secured and in a place that the animals can't come walking through here and get caught up in those. The only 2 wires that are really required are the 2 big ones. The little wires are kind of redundant, and because there are no animals grazing here, that's not really an immediate concern. The other concern is keeping with goats. We have to keep this far enough away from the fence that the goats don't climb on top of it and make their way over the fence, which is always a concern. We have the high tensile fence, which runs as a perimeter, and then we tie the Premier netting to that. We just clip the clip right onto the 12 gauge wire. And the Premier does not have ground wires. It just grounds through the actual ground. We've got several different pastures for different combinations of boy goats, girl goats, and nighttime and daytime, babies and moms, and the step-in netting has really served us well for that.